Essentially, women had been fighting for their political, social, and economic freedoms for hundreds of years.
Your aim in jiu-jitsu is to get your opponent off his balance and then to push or to pull him in the direction his body inclines. Once off his balance, he's more or less helpless, and it's quite easy for you to throw him heavily to the ground.
In the mid to late 19th century, there was this idea of separate spheres. The woman's place is in the home. By 1900, women were out getting jobs in the city, they were going to school, they were challenging this. But there was backlash. There were men who said, this is our space, you shouldn't be here. One common form of backlash was the masher, basically what we would call a street harasser. Women described being ogled by men on the street. Men would follow them, they would make unsolicited comments about their body. Or they would sit next to them really close in the streetcar, put their arm around them, or sometimes just try to attack them. In 1905, Nellie Griffin was a telephone operator in Oakland, California. She was walking home from work one night when a guy started following her. And eventually he started saying things to her that started to make her uncomfortable. And he grabbed her by the arm. So she turned around and she punched him. He was shocked and he backed off. And eventually the newspaper reporters showed up to interview her and say, "Why did you do that?" This is a powerful statement. It's 100 years ago. And what she's saying essentially is she has the right to defend herself. And she has the ability to defend herself. And all the talk about the masher and street violence really deflected the blame. The truth is, and was at the time, that the vast majority of women were most at risk not on the street, but in their homes. And not from some stranger, but from someone that they love. In this context, she's actually talking about women need the right to vote in order to protect themselves. The women in the suffrage movement, especially in England, police used a lot of very vicious techniques to try to subdue them. Sometimes were knocked down, kicked, shoved, pelted with rotten fruit. They had urine-soaked rags thrown at them. And the movement there was growing more and more radical. And one part of this was the training in jiu-jitsu. Self-defense training really emerged during this period as a way for women to claim their right to public space and to assert their rights to social, political, and economic equality. This is the Time's Up, Me Too moment of 100 years ago.
Now I'm going to give him a real thrill. The answer's in the infirmary.